Great questions change our lives. So in this video, I'm sharing 3 thought-provoking questions to help you grow. No matter where you are in your life, whether you're thinking about your next career move or business decision or a relationship challenge that you're dealing with, asking great questions just enhances our life in so many ways. It shifts our perspective. It helps us show up a little bit differently. It also helps us become a lot more self-aware, which is a wonderful thing. And the cool thing is, great questions are found everywhere. We can discover them by reading great books or watching videos or podcasts, during conversations with your friends and colleagues, maybe overhearing a conversation, or even listening to music. We can discover really great questions. And then it's up to us to notice those questions and then take a little bit of time to think about them. So we can do that through journaling or even just through some meditation. And by doing that, we're going to uncover some solutions to challenges we might be going through. We learn a little bit more about ourselves, and they just enhance our life in so many ways. I love collecting great questions so that I can ask myself and also my clients and colleagues and friends these questions as well. And so I've heard a couple of questions over the past couple of months, and I wanted to share them with you, and hopefully you'll find them as intriguing as I did. Number 1, what would you tell me if you knew I wouldn't get upset? I heard this question from Alex Hermosi in one of his videos, and I thought it was really interesting. It was one of those that made me stop and think a little bit because it's a really great team question. If you are leading a team, if you are working with people, this is a question that could definitely open up some interesting dialogue. It's also great for a friend or a significant other, especially for those people in your life that maybe you're walking on eggshells a little bit or you're trying to figure out what they may or may not react to. When we ask this question, what would you tell me if you knew I wouldn't get upset? This is going to be a really fruitful conversation. Now, the caveat is you have to be willing to hear the answer to this question, right? Like that can be the challenging part because we have to put ourselves in the position if we're offering that up to someone else to give us this kind of feedback, we have to be willing to take it, accept it, and then have that conversation, wherever it might lead us. You could also replace the word upset. So it would be, what would you tell me if you knew I wouldn't get sad or frustrated? So this is a really interesting question if you have the guts to ask someone. Number 2, how am I complicit in creating the conditions I say I don't want? This question I heard while listening to one of Tim Ferriss's podcasts where he was interviewing Jerry Colonna. And I found it to be very interesting because immediately it reminded me of this book that I read a few years ago called Existential Kink by Carolyn Elliott, PhD. The whole idea of the book is that whatever you have in your life, good and bad, but some of those more maybe negative things that you are frustrated by in your life, in some way, you are getting benefit from having that in your life. Somehow, some way, even if it's deep, deep down, you might not even know it. In that, like in your subconscious mind, you're creating conditions because you're getting something out of it, even those painful conditions. And so when I heard this question, how am I complicit in creating conditions I say I don't want? It reminded me of that book. And it really made me think, I mean, this is another one of those questions worth journaling about or worth meditating on, because if there's something in your life that is really frustrating, that you feel like maybe you're getting in the same situation over and over, whether it's in a relationship or a conversation you're having with someone or something in your work life, this question really forces us to consider, okay, what are some truths that I might not be acknowledging? What are some things that I might not be doing that I know I really should be doing? And so I thought that was a really interesting question and one worth diving into. And number 3, this is a short and sweet one. I actually don't remember where I read or heard this one, but I thought it was really interesting enough that I remembered it because it is so short. It's, do you hate or love better? And I just thought this was interesting because it reminded me of that question that people ask, do you love to win or hate to lose? Which is another great question. And I think it was an interesting question to dive into, and also a really interesting question to ask your friends or colleagues. I was out at a dinner the other night with a bunch of entrepreneurs, and we were asking different questions, and I threw this one out there, and people got a little curious about that one. I think that one's a fun one to explore as well. And there you go. 3 questions for you to consider. Maybe journal about them, meditate on them, whatever you want to do. But I hope this inspired you to notice questions wherever you go, when you're talking to people, when you're reading. And hey, if you have a really great question, something that you've been asked that really has made an impact in your life, I would love to hear what it is. So put that in the comments, share those out into the world because, hey, we can all benefit from asking ourselves and each other great questions. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like it. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I invite you to do so for more content to help support your personal and professional growth.